And this is the time when usually I would talk. And tonight, Sam, it's all you.
Try to keep it just as long. There you go, Walt. Look at all of you. You'd think it was my bar mitzvah. You know, hope you all brought checks. I'm not going to do that. It's a really funny Josh, and I'm going to do that for the whole thing. Okay. That was the easy part. Now to explain what you just heard. But first, I should begin by mentioning this week's Parsha, Shemini, Leviticus chapters 9 through 11. Despite their seemingly sincere intentions, Hashem strikes down Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, for offering alien fire, and forbids any mourning over their sudden demise. Then we get a chapter's worth of animals we are permitted to eat and prohibited from eating, the foundation of our kashrut laws. Has basically nothing to do with me presenting my own Shabbat service composition, but does underscore how poorly I follow mitzvot. Lots of treif, no small amount of alien fire, though I pretty consistently avoid eating arthropods, lizards, and birds of prey, so at least I got that going for me. I'm sure Rabbi Neil has oodles of good stuff to say about, oh, there he is, has oodles of good stuff to say about it. So you should all get up early and attend tomorrow morning's Torah study. I want to thank everyone here for your indulgence and support. You whom I've invited, specifically, who would never be here otherwise. You who are regular attendees, who would be here regardless. You who are occasional attendees, who came just to check this out. You who may only be here for a yahrzeit and were unaware of anything extraordinary about tonight's service, or you who just coincidentally dropped in for the first time and have no idea who I am or what you just heard. Thank you all the same. The analogy everyone involved in this project must be tired of hearing is how much this process has been somewhat reminiscent of writing my master's thesis. My committee, including Tara Starr, serving as my music composition professor, Francine Griffith, my music theory professor. Can anybody see Francine? And Rabbi Neil, my liturgy and transliteration professor. And as much as I enjoyed graduate school and had a wonderful thesis committee then, I can say without hesitation or exaggeration, this was much more fun and the finished product much more enjoyable and entertaining than defending interactive reading models and reader response theory, tracing parallels between reading theories and applied linguistics and literary criticism. Captivating title and topic, I know. But trust me, what you just heard is way more melodically and rhythmically appealing. Though spiritually, it was a pretty good thesis. Anyway. This committee was not only as rigorous as my grad school mentors, but much more committed, and I couldn't be more appreciative of the time and encouragement you invested. Thank you. You did not have to do this, and it simply could not have happened without you. So, how did this happen? Faster than I could have imagined. As the rabbi mentioned, I began just before last Halloween and finished just after the election. So give or take about 2 weeks total, a song or two a day. Though really it had been germinating for a while. Possibly it stems all the way back to Sinai. As some of you have occasionally heard me confess, my Sinai memories are sketchy at best, since I admittedly spent most of my time in the wine tent. Yes, I missed most of Moshe's Torah recitation, which may explain why I'm so bad at keeping mitzvot. But I do recall sobering up enough to partake in the jam session held by all us musically endowed Hebrews. Events recorded in Exodus are, like much of the written Torah, incomplete, requiring appropriate oral midrash. So allow me to clue you in. See, it wasn't just Moses, Miriam, and their backup singers chanting and dancing and clanging timbrels. I was weighing back in the 6th or 7th string section, but consider, just to name only a few on the A list, the likes of Gustav Mahler, Fanny and Felix Mendelssohn, Arnold Schoenberg, Al Jolson, Jan Pearce, George and Ira Gershwin, Irving Berlin, Jerome Kern, Richard Rodgers and Lawrence Hart and Oscar Hammerstein, Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland, Stephen Sondheim, Arthur Rubinstein, Itzhak Perlman, Benny Goodman, Artie Shaw, Buddy Rich, Stan Getz, Barney Kessel, Emily Remler, Marilyn Crispell, Theodore Bickel, Mel Torme, Sammy Davis Jr., Barbara Streisand, Bobby Dylan, Bette Midler, Lou Reed, Leonard Cohen, Carole King, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel, Billy Joel, Neil Diamond, Barry Manilow, John Zorn, John Lurie, Greg Cohen, Mark Ribot, Mark Knopfler, Michael Bloomfield, Peter Green, Donald Fagen, Mick Jones, Adam Duritz, Lenny Kravitz, Amy Winehouse, Paula Abdul, Kiss, Fish, David Lee Roth, Joey Ramone, the Beastie Boys, Drake, all the great seminal Eastern European and New York klezmers, all the cantors whose liturgical music you're already familiar with, and all of us, unnamed and unknown, singers and songsters and strummers and drummers and fiddlers and horn blowers and key ticklers and bass thumpers and, yes, timbrel janglers, all harmonizing in unison, in tune, in time, on key of our newfound freedom from Pharaoh. I mean, come on, after a jam like that, how could we not accept the covenant? Even if most of us weren't paying much attention to the mitzvot, we've done such a subpar job keeping. So, while I don't remember much from Leviticus, Numbers, or Deuteronomy, I do remember that vividly. But Sinai aside, my actual work on this service did start slightly longer ago than those 2 weeks last late October, early November. The Yehulah Ratzon we played tonight should be familiar to regular attendees. My sister Laura Sparks, of blessed memory, and I composed it in fall 2019, just before she got sick. Both Tara and Neil liked it. Chuck never said he didn't. So it found its way into our regular rotation. The opening nigun, which I've titled Haunting Nigun, is a melody and chord progression I had been haunted by for some time. Then came the October 7th massacre. Tony and I were working with a couple other musicians, and while ultimately no project emerged from that endeavor, in my angst over the horrors occurring in Israel, at the end of one practice, I asked if they would indulge me. I introduced them to that riff, and we jammed on it for a good 5 minutes or so. When I attempted composing an entire service, I started with that tune, and the rest just kind of spilled out. Tom Waits once said, "Songs are just interesting things to be doing with the air." And that's what I tried doing. And I apologize for that terrible Tom Waits impression. Because liturgy is, well, liturgy, composing the tunes was easier without having to write original lyrics. I noodled around with Yiddishy, Mediterranean-sounding chords and scales. Once I had a progression and melody, I tried making the words fit, tried finding something interesting to do with the air. Now, interesting as I hope it all is, I am aware some pieces may be a little derivative of our regular repertoire, sometimes deliberately so, particularly regarding keys and phrasing. Overall, a balancing act between keeping it familiar enough that I wouldn't completely lose the congregation, but still expressing my desire to sound as much like vodka and vinegar as I could get away with, because to me, Jewish music sounds best when it sounds like vodka and vinegar. minor keys, Eastern European and Mediterranean modes and scales, sprinkled with a smattering of American blues, which, from so many names I just mentioned, we've long been influenced by and have long contributed to. And besides, much of that familiar repertoire by the rabbis, cantors, and song leaders whose pieces we routinely play are occasionally derivative of each other. So, to Shlomo Karlbach, Saul Zim, Max Janowski, Debbie Friedman, Bonilla Schur, Hannah Teferet, Craig Taubman, Rachel Nelson, Ben Siegel, Lisa Levine, Laura Berkson, Abraham Binder, Solomon Sulzer, Svika Pick, Noah Aronson, and several other composers, thank you, and apologies for any subtle or blatant plagiarism, inadvertent or otherwise. Probably I should also thank the 19th century German Jewish Reform movement for allowing musical instruments into synagogues for Shabbat and High Holy Day services. Thank you, 19th century German Jewish reformers. Ultimately, I suppose this all emerged from nearly 15 years of performing for weekly Shabbat services, holiday observances, and life cycle events, conspiring with my pining over having once been in a band that performed all original music. And since reviving that band or something similar to it wasn't an option, this seemed like the logical venue to express whatever creativity still lingers in my fingers. And I'm pretty pleased with the results. But, damn, that band. We were so good. Being part of this cantoral group has been a wonderful experience. Who could ever have imagined that Hashem would think to literally give Sam Miller the keys to the temple? I know, want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? A bitter taste lingers that my sister Laura's voice and composition skills and my father Lloyd's clarinet and saxophone, also a blessed memory, are no longer here to participate and collaborate. I am, however, immensely grateful and proud to work with these wonderful musicians. You have been great friends and colleagues. Playing with you over the past decade and a half has truly been an honor and privilege. Ira, Tara, Chuck, Francine, and Tony, when you join us for special occasions such as this, thank you. In fact, you can all thank them. I must also thank Gabe Scheid for his sound engineering and recording, and Andy for you running the video tonight, right? Okay. Hopefully we performed something worthy of preserving. Something. Always I must thank our staff, David, Charles, and Aaron, for all the unseen, behind-the-scenes assisting and accommodating they routinely do. They are amazing. I want to thank Miriam for the oneg she's prepared for us in the social hall following the service, sponsored by Kathy Goldman in remembrance of Tom Goldman's one-year yahrzeit. Lots of libations, spirited and otherwise, so please stay and schmooze. Since 1997, Temple B'nai Jeshurun, you have been my community, my home, my mishpocha. I hope you enjoyed what we presented here this evening. And if a few of these tunes become regular service songs, I would truly be honored. If not, you gave me this opportunity, and that's plenty in itself. Either way, this music is a gift to you. Soll's Leben und sein gesund. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay. Thank you. I'll let Rabbi Neil announce messages, make any final remarks, lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. Then we'll close with one more song, my version of Oseh Shalom.